What if I told you that you were only 3 simple steps away from becoming an amazing D&D storyteller? I've spent the past 3 years researching and exploring how to become a truly great dungeon master, and I found that one of the most critical skills is being a great storyteller. It's different in every medium, and I've been implementing and experimenting different storytelling techniques and specifically how they apply to Dungeons & Dragons and other tabletop role-playing games. I've identified the 3 most important steps on the journey to amazing D&D storytelling, and I've discovered an important secret about how to unlock your true potential and elevate your games from good to absolutely unforgettable. So stick around till the end where I share this secret with you. Welcome creators, I am Holistic Dungeon Master and I help DMs master their craft. If you're enjoying my content so far, then like the video, crit the subscribe and notification bell because it really helps out the channel. Now let's get rolling! For the longest time, I was a mediocre dungeon master. Good enough to charge some money for it? Sure, but not a lot. And I always had that feeling of imposter syndrome. Why would people pay me for this? There was always that kind of niggling, nagging feeling that I was missing something. You know, I saw the great DMs of our time, Matt Mercer, Brennan Lee Mulligan, Troy Lavallee, maybe I really hope some of you know who that is. They spun these fabulous tales that not only kept their players hooked, but also countless others who were merely watching these games unfold through a screen. They weren't even playing it. How do they do that, I wondered. Sometimes I sensed that my players had this feeling of listlessness, that they were unsure of what to do next or even what the stakes were. And I did what I used to always do. It was kind of like my crutch back when I was an inexperienced and yes, let's face it, insecure dungeon master. Say it with me. I blamed my players. Look, when I delve into my past experiences to write these little stories for you guys, I often suffer massive doses of near lethal cringe at past HDM's actions at the table. But it's all for the greater good, to drive my point across and help you to learn from my numerous massive mistakes. I'll do it. Look, I'll do this. I'll dive into the cringe. I'll take the hit for you guys. I'll do it for you because you, this wonderful community, has gotten this channel to 1K subs. That's a pretty decent milestone, so I'd just like to thank you before we go any further. Thank you for that. Thank you for continuing to watch, like, share, and subscribe and all of that jazz. You are helping this channel grow, and you are helping me help many other DMs on their journey to becoming the best DMs they can be. But anyways, no amount of blaming them, my players, helped my games get any better, and in fact, it probably made them a lot worse. I realized that something needed to change, so I looked to my sources of inspiration, those DMs, those shining beacons, those gods that were really paving the way for what this hobby can be. They're just people. They're just, you know, they're very, very good DMs. It's easy to look up to them. So I watched and I watched and I watched until finally it clicked. I realized that one thing that I was missing, what I didn't understand about these DMs' ability to captivate and enthrall. They are all phenomenal storytellers, true masters of the craft, and they all tell their stories in completely different ways. That's the interesting part. I needed to become a better storyteller. And so I did. I did some research, implemented some techniques, kept what worked, ditched what didn't, and now I not only feel comfortable charging double what I did when I started as a pro DM, but now, most importantly, I never feel imposter syndrome, and I'm fully confident that I can captivate my players from start to finish during nearly all of my sessions. Let's face it, we all have off days, don't we? Here are the 3 most important steps that you can take right now and implement in your very next game session that will have your players more captivated than ever by your storytelling dungeon master mastery. The first thing you must do is decide what kind of story you're going to tell. Before we delve deeper into the video, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are helping me make better content for this channel and beyond, so thank you so much for supporting. More information about how you can support the channel at the end of the video. This is the main reason that my players felt listless and without direction. The message of my story was unclear, and I was unsure of where to take it, and my players could feel that. Was it a funny story that's meant to be working up to some grand punchline? Was it a dramatic one that needed high stakes and moments of increasing ratcheted up tension that ended in this dramatic conclusion? Was there a message or theme that needed to be threaded through each story beat to get it across? Each different message has different storytelling needs. So decide Decide what yours is now and start tailoring your campaign to it. Otherwise, you'll just have this disjointed story without cohesion. Your players, just like mine did, they'll pick up on that. Now, don't get me wrong, none of that is really necessary to have a good campaign, to have fun with your friends at the table. But if you want to have a great campaign that will be both satisfying and engaging for your players and you, then this is a crucial first step on that journey. The best part is that, for the most part, your players won't even realize what you're doing. You will just seem like this mystical, all-knowing DM who's planned for everything and whose sessions always hit right and make complete sense with the overarching narrative. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? It does. It sounds great. But enough about being nice to our party. How about we get a little bit darker? How about we get a little bit meaner? How about we take Carl Jung's advice and embrace our shadow and become cruel to our party? What? Be cruel? Be callous, mean, and uncaring? Yes, absolutely. But it's for their own good. Let me explain. We need bad stuff to happen to the player characters. The gloves need to come off sometimes, and we really need to throw them under the horse and carriage. The night is darkest before the dawn, but this is merely an illusion. It just seems that way by comparison. And the converse is also true. The light of dawn is sweetest after the long darkness of night. So, for those gratifying, satisfying, and sweet moments that our party experience to really and truly matter, we need the dark moments to truly hurt. Now, massive disclaimer. I know some of you are thinking, oh, hold on, that doesn't sound right. And I absolutely don't mean that we stomp all over any safety or topic boundaries that our players might have. Session 0, folks, there's a video on it. Go watch it. It's critically important. What I mean is that we just need some hopeless and fearful moments to happen to the player characters so that the good moments can shine even brighter. It's all connected to the hope-fear cycle, which I explained in yet another video. There it is. Pause this one, go watch it, and come back. Or click it, open it in a new tab, finish this video before you go watch that one. It's so important, and we need to get comfortable throwing the PCs into some bad situations. It makes it all the more punchy when they finally, inevitably, really pull through for that win. Putting an end to that necromancer, it just hits a little bit different when they've brought family members and friends back to life to fight to the party. Socially crippling that haughty noble is infinitely more satisfying after they've used the full force of their influence to take rights, privileges, and even property away from the party. It's different. Not only will your players feel these satisfying moments more keenly, the constant modulation of these emotions of hope and fear will keep them on the edge of their seats. They won't know what's gonna come next. They won't know when their luck is gonna turn, for good or for ill. That's exciting stuff. But what's the last step? Here's a hint. I've been using this technique, since we started on step 1. We began our journey by deciding the message of our story. In the middle of our video, we realized that we need to change our approach towards our player characters to reach this final step. And now we have reached that final step on our journey to amazing D&D storytelling. The end, you might say. I bet some of you already know what it is. The importance of beginning, middle, and end. Something happens, bunch of stuff changes and needs to be overcome, and it all culminates in the climax and resolution. It's so simple, it's so elegant, and I didn't used to do any of it. Not a little bit of it. Maybe by accident. I probably did some by accident, actually. This is another reason. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, probably a little bit more important, more weighty than not having a message or theme. That contributed to the reason my players often felt lost and unsure of what to do. My campaigns had no structure. Zero. I was just kind of winging it. I was just focused on having fun and helping my players have fun. I wasn't really thinking about storytelling, engagement, or anything like that. How to keep my players hooked and excited. And the results weren't great. They were okay. They were good. Like I said, you can completely enjoy D&D and have fun without worrying about any of this stuff. But to take it to the next level as it's an art form. It is a medium. I know a lot of people think and say it's just a game, but it's not. It's a medium for storytelling. Just like video games, movies, books, art also tells a story. It's an art form, in my opinion, and I think us DMs that really want to get good at this, we need to take that into consideration. We need to take that seriously, and I didn't. I just didn't know to. But now I do, and now things are different. So what happens at the start of your campaign that kicks everything off? What is that change that spurs the party into action? Is there a huge explosion that ruptures space and time, and now unimaginable horrors from beyond the breach threaten to consume all life? Do giant chunks of an ancient and advanced civilization begin appearing in the sky, floating there out of nowhere and enticing people with its promise of vast riches and potentially world-ending technology. Something has to happen at the start to kick everything off, and it's going to change a lot about the world. It might be subtle at first or massive and glaringly obvious, but it's going to be a problem that needs to be dealt with and leads to the end, leads to a resolution. But first, it leads to the middle of the story, this bit here. What's going to have to change? What obstacles will have to be overcome? What threats are going to have to be dealt with? What enemies or factions are going to make that more or less complicated? Maybe the mere presence of those rifts in reality starts to change people in weird and horrific ways and starts to spread like a virus. The stakes are raised and now the time pressure is on. Maybe looters have recovered something fabulous and terrible and powerful from those sky runes that threatens to be too powerful and dangerous to be loose in the world. Like a monkey with the launch codes to a nuclear missile silo. Something needs to be done and your party will probably be the ones to do it. There is infinite room for adventures, wins, losses, high points and low points, challenges for your party to overcome or be overcome by in the middle. And as always, your wonderful DM creativity is the limit. Please post some of your suggestions and ideas down in the comments. I'd love to see them. We all would. But things should always come to a head. The climax must be built toward by the middle and ultimately reached. So constantly ratchet up the tension and the stakes in the middle of your story to make it feel like it's going somewhere. It's leading to something. And that something is the end. They've defeated all of the altered minions of those unknowable entities from beyond the breach, and now they're traveling through it to fight at the end of time and space. The secret of that ancient advanced civilization has been uncovered, and they must now wrest a great and terrible power from the big bad evil guy who means to take it for themselves. All of the trials and tribulations of the campaign need to lead up to this conclusion. Their struggles all become worth it because they beat the bad guy, they save the world, and they reap the rewards. And it all needs to align with the message and theme that you've decided on from the very beginning. They need to get their own back on the antagonistic forces that wreaked moments of fear and hopelessness upon them. And all of this leads, if you've done all this, it leads to a truly satisfying ending for your players. And you too. Let's not forget about us. The journey is now complete and the whole thing made complete sense. Isn't that great? Your players were never confused or directionless, not much at least anyway. The story made sense and the objective was clear. Your players are fully satisfied by the story you've wrapped them and their imaginations in for the past few months, years, whatever, and now they are itching to get you to run another game for them. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's all because you followed these steps and you are well on your way now to becoming a master of D&D storytelling. But we're not quite done yet. There is one more secret that I teased at the start of the video to get you to watch all the way to this point. One more secret weapon that you can use to ensure that almost every single session is an absolute banger, that they are self-contained storytelling masterpieces unto themselves. It's simple, very simple. You apply these same steps to each and every session. Just a quick little intermission here because I got a delivery. Mork Borg. I'm so excited to play this. I don't know if you guys know much about it, but it's just a beautiful piece of art. It is an old school revival, an OSR release. It's just kind of more crunchier, death metal-y type rules. Lives are cheap. You'll be rolling new characters a lot. I'm really excited to play this. I've been playing 5e forever and ever. And I'm now finally starting to branch out into things like Pathfinder and Shadow Dark. And now I'm learning this. And I'm going to be running several games of this very soon for people in the Discord server. So that's what this intermission is about. Down the Discord, you'll find the link to said Discord server. If you want to play this with me, jump in there and let's make it happen. It's also just a wonderful community of DMs who help each other hone their crafts. If you'd like to support this channel further, you'll also find my Patreon in there. I always keep my Patreons up to date with behind the scenes stuff related to the channel and projects beyond. So if you'd like to support the channel in that way, then jump on in and you'll find the link below. One last item of business, you'll also find the link to my free archetypal system neutral story focused NPC handout. It's down there, it's free, and it's getting an extremely large update soon. I've commissioned a real artist, I've put money into this thing. There's going to be rollable tables and all of that kind of stuff. There's just going to be more NPCs that I've personally written. So sign up to the mailing list and keep an eye on your inboxes for that one. It's coming within a month or two from the date of this video. Now, back to the video. You've done this at the macro level. For your overall campaign, you now must do it at the micro level. What's the theme, message, tone for each session? Maybe the overall tone of your campaign is a dour and serious one, but now and every now and again, it's time for some comic relief or banter. Perfect time to choose a lighthearted tone for a session or two. You can and should modulate the hope-fear cycle many times per session. Each story beat can either be positive or negative. We can be cruel to our players, cruel to them multiple times a session to emphasize each treasure haul, each valuable piece of information learned, or every ally gained. Each session needs a beginning, middle, and end. A strong start to kick off each one, some challenge or change that they need to overcome, and a resolution to something at the end. The resolution can be a little bit tricky because you never really know where a session might take a party, but having some satisfying end to each session makes your game addictive and you can get better at it over time. Especially if after this resolution you tease a mystery or cliffhanger or some other thread that leads into the next session's strong start. If you use these 3 steps on the macro campaign level and the micro session level, then you are truly on your way to becoming a next level dungeon master. Seriously, your players will be pestering you for the next session or campaign, and you'll be able to give them the tabletop role-playing experience that they deserve. If you've watched this video up until now, then you are the DM I make these videos for. Someone who is truly dedicated to being the best DM that they can be, so thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Please like the video, share it with another DM you think could use this information, crit the subscribe button and notification bell. And remember, this world needs good DMs who can storytell extremely well.